Welcome to the Pontificated. This week we're debunking the Sacral Chakra. Hi, I'm Rain, Usui Reiki Master, energy healer, acupressurist, and overall occult enthusiast. We're bridging the gaps between science and spirituality, mind, body, and soul. So when we think of the sacral chakra, if you've ever even heard of this energy center before, you're automatically going to associate it with sexuality. But in all actuality, this is a very complex energy center as it houses our joy, our creative expression and expansion, our adaptability, our sensuality, of course, our sexuality, our fertility, as well as our entire emotional range. So let's get to the basics of the sacral chakra. Of course, it's associated with the color orange. It is a place of our desires, not just sexual desires, but our desires in life and our ability to create the desires that we have. It's located in our hip region and around the lower back. So if you're the last vertebrae up, all the way to right above the kidneys and all the way around is going to be where that energy center is within the body. Now, we know that our energy centers have auric fields around them. So making up the second layer of the auric field is going to be the emotional body, which is also housed in the sacral chakra. This chakra governs all of the fluid in the body. So the blood, the lymph, the tears, the urine, the saliva. It maintains the liquid levels in the body. It governs the kidneys, the urinary tract, as well as the reproductive system. It's associated with intimacy, play, sensuality, sexuality. It's imbalance. We're able to go with the flow. We just kind of ride the current. We're able to accept change without fear or resisting it. Despite popular belief, the sacral chakra is all about embracing sensuality and sexuality, but it's also freeing up space from internalized guilt and shame and negative self-beliefs, to allow space for that creative process, to allow space to really embrace your sensuality, to allow space to free your emotional range and create healthy ways to regulate our emotions, to move through the trials and tribulations of life. It's about removing all of the layers that aren't. It's about that deep emotional intelligence, becoming our truest, most authentic self within that finding, and tapping into creative energy to design a life that is healthy, balanced, and designing from your soul's purpose. It's really understanding that you are a creator being. And we have a thought, that's the fire. The emotion is the gasoline on it. So it's important to note that unprocessed emotions can be stored anywhere in the body, not just the sacral chakra. Most people assume because this is where our emotional body is housed, that this is where all of the unprocessed emotions are stored. While there are certain emotions that tend to gravitate towards certain energy centers, i.e. shame tends to live within the hips and the womb space. So unprocessed shame tends to live there, but if you've got grief, that would tend to gravitate towards the lungs, and we'll go through that as the series goes on. So because of the complexity of this energy center, it can be a wide variety of issues that can cause imbalance within the function and energy system of the reproductive organs. So any type of trauma related to sexual abuse, abortion, childbirth, particularly the way we birth children now, is not as organic and natural as it should be. Most of the time we go in the hospital, we have IVs, we're medicated, and that's typically not the natural flow. So a lot of times that can cause imbalance, especially if that birth was extremely stressful or traumatic to the mother. Any type of pelvic trauma, surgeries, or illnesses within the womb space, within the kidneys, or the urinary space can cause imbalances. What's not really taught about the sacral area is if we're not taught how to process our emotions, which most of us are not taught how to do that in school. That's kind of a parent thing. And up until recently, it hasn't really been discussed. I know I wasn't raised to learn how to properly and regulate my emotions in a healthy manner. It's something I had to learn along the way, and it's still a daily process. So when we have a dysregulation because of an emotional response, that then affects our hormone levels. When those get disrupted, this is when that stored energy starts affecting the body. And so when we have the loss of the libido or a decrease in estrogen, we're going to experience physical fatigue. There are going to be symptoms that are just not feeling like ourselves. And that's another way you can tell that you have an imbalance. So if you're susceptible to multiple rejections, divorce, abuse, neglect, public humiliation, hormonal imbalances we just talked about, religious or cultural appropriations about your sexuality, these can all lead to distortions of that energy center. And people who grew up in strict religious households where pleasure was looked at as a moral aversion are most likely to have the deepest woundings in this area, because it's stricting the fact of joy and pleasure. And I know that we think joy and pleasure, we're thinking about sex, but joy and pleasure is so much more than just sex. But we close off that energy center if we have these woundings, and we're not able to experience it without that deep seated shame. So imbalances in the energy centers can go one of two ways. They can be overactive and excessive, or they can be underactive and deficient. But across the board, if you have reproductive issues on a regular basis, if you suffer from chronic lower back pain or sciatica, have extreme guilt, jealousy, or restlessness on a regular basis, that's an indication of imbalance. It's your body trying to say, okay, we need to do something different. This process that we're doing is not working for us, and it's causing duress. So when we talk about the overactive or excessive imbalances within this energy center, this is how it may manifest. This is not a comprehensive list, but this is a very detailed list. So if you got one or more of these on a regular basis, it's time to take a look at balancing this energy center out for your own health and well-being. Having an excessive sex drive, overindulging in behaviors, feeling overly ambitious, addiction to exercise, compulsive behaviors, frequent mood swings, and being overly dramatic, overly emotional, emotionally dependent on others, lack of and trouble setting boundaries, sexual addictions, feeling hypersensitive, lower back pain, tense and frustrated often. Nothing in your life seems good enough. May engage in frequent acts of sexual or emotional manipulative situations, attracting toxic people into your life. Addicted to porn, sex, sexual perversions for pleasure and excitement. Lack of emotional control. Bladder issues, STDs, endometriosis, herpes, hip issues, menstrual issues, scoliosis, urinary tract issues, and a tendency to be codependent. Underactive or deficient sacral energy centers may manifest in the following ways: feeling emotional, unemotional, or unexcited, feeling lack of desire and passion in life, depriving yourself of pleasure, feeling guarded, being unable to focus, feeling out of touch with creativity, and having massive creative blocks, feeling insecure or having a low self-esteem, experiencing sexual repression not related to chosen celibacy, because chosen celibacy is completely different than just sexual repression, feeling jealous often, feeling detached from your emotions, comparing yourself to others regularly, feeling aloof and out of sorts, being shy and timid, displaying poor social skills, extremely introverted, often battles with depression, experiences excessive stiffness in the body, rigid in attitude and belief systems, a fear of sex and intimacy, denying self pleasurable experiences even when the opportunity arises, dreads change, sees no way of improving life, suffer from emotional numbness, often feeling like you don't deserve to be happy or able to enjoy yourself, dehydration, hip issues, infertility issues, and infertility. Multiple ways to balance our sacral energy. Color theory is one of my favorite and easiest ways to balance or bring awareness to our energy centers. That means eating, wearing, or looking at the color associated with the energy center. And because we know that orange is associated with the sacral, we also know that fruit and vegetables that are orange in flavor or orange in color are also going to heal that energy's vibration as they vibrate on the same level. Sound is a beautiful way to balance our emotional body, which will be discussed in its own series. I feel like the emotional body is its own separate yet connected piece of the puzzle, but it requires more depth than what we're going into for the chakra series. So stay tuned and look forward to that series that will be coming out probably next, actually. Turning on a YouTube video or a ambient sound video while you sleep will help you balance the emotional body as well as the sacral energy. And you can do this subconsciously while you are asleep. And that's what's so beautiful about sound healing, is you don't necessarily have to be alert and conscious. It kind of does its own thing, especially when you do the solfeggio frequencies while you sleep. Beautiful, beautiful way to regulate and really rest and recharge. I highly, highly, highly recommend sound therapy. Our crystal friends. Do not forget about our beautiful crystal friends. Cornelian, orange calcite, moonstone, tangerine quartz are all beautiful stones that will help balance and remove those creative and energetic blocks, as well as karmic blockages for you within that sacral energy. Now remember, you can just purchase your crystals, but they have a unique vibration that if you cleanse them, give them a job, and put them to work, they're going to do wonders for your life. Just having those beautiful, happy little friends just to remind you to balance and center. And they also help to deflect. So you don't have to just wear them. You can put them in your home. You can put them in your office. You can put them in your vehicle. It's going to create that healing atmosphere, that ambiance, if you will. Movement, especially dancing. I cannot emphasize this enough. Go dance. Whether it's in your kitchen, it's in your car, it's in the club, it does not matter. Move your body, especially your hips. Moving those hips is going to energetically release and move, get that energy moving of all of that stored internalized shame that you may not even realize that you have. I know when I started my healing journey, if you would have said, "Oh, you have stored shame," I would have been like, "No, no, yeah, I did." So move the body. Again, that's going to help purge in and allow new energy to come instead of repeating the same old patterns, the same old cycles. It's allowing that purging to happen the more you move. So move your hips, move your body, do somatic stretches. Yoga is beautiful. Qigong is amazing. So there are so many options. Also, if you want a more relaxed approach, Reiki and any type of quantum healing is going to be beneficial. Aromatherapy is especially great at working with the emotional body and the energy centers, as scent is very powerful. It can bring back past emotions, but it can also energize, it can cleanse, it can refresh. So look into what excites you when you smell it, what gives you purpose and intention, and use that in your bedroom, in your office, in your home, in your car. So you have this beautiful ambiance. It's about creating sacred spaces for yourself to just be, to relax. You can do all of these processes. You can put your sound music on, you can put your aromatherapy on, you can get your crystals, you can meditate all day, you can do your yoga and qigong, but unless you're doing the shadow work, you're not going to have as much progress. So really diving into that deep wounding space, and remember, the deeper that you go, the more that you can handle the depths of your own emotional state, the easier it's going to be for you to get the range of the higher emotions, because as above, so below. So if you're able to have powerful, strong, dense emotions, imagine your higher elevated emotions. They are phenomenal, phenomenal. Some shadow work journal prompts to jumpstart the sacral healing. You can pause this, write these down in your journal, work through them throughout the week. See if that doesn't bring some deep awareness and some powerful change into your life by just putting some light on those shadows. So the first question to journal is, what emotions am I not allowing myself to feel? Now, this is going to require an honest conversation, and don't overthink it. Just write. For you, it might be anger. For somebody else, it may be pleasure. What emotions are you not allowing yourself to feel? The next question: what parts of myself am I afraid to show others in fear of judgment and rejection? That's a powerful question. What is the one thing I can do today to honor my feelings and my desires? This is for those who are highly sexually active and or binge and emotional eaters. How do I cultivate healthy relationships with food and sex to support my emotional needs? What experiences can I try to push me outside of my comfort zone and bring more excitement into my life? That's moving that stagnant energy by doing things that are slightly outside of your comfort zone. Who knows, you might even freaking like it. Just give it a try. Have I been denying or avoiding emotional intimacy with others? You may think no, but if you dig deeper, you may realize yeah. And you may understand why. And when you understand why, guess what we can do? We can take action steps to correct it. It's not a painful process. Shadow work does not have to be painful. It has to be eye-opening. How can I use my creativity to express my feelings and desires in healthy ways? What healthy boundaries do I need to create to honor my needs and desires? In what ways have I been denying myself the opportunity for greater fulfillment in my life? One more. How can I create an environment where I'm comfortable exploring different aspects of self without fear, shame, and judgment? Affirmations are a powerful way to reprogram, recalibrate, and really drive a new positive way of being. Affirmations from the sacral usually begin with I feel, but they don't necessarily have to. So let's end this week's episode with three of my top favorite sacral chakra affirmations. And remember, we're going to say them loudly, say them proudly, say them from our chest, and we're going to say them until we feel an emotional change within the body. At that point, that is when energy is being recalibrated, when you feel some sort of soul recognition. I attract people who treat me with respect. I attract people who treat me with respect. Say it loud and say it proud. I need you to do it louder. Scream it from the top of your lungs. I honor the sacred body in which my soul resides. I honor the sacred body in which my soul resides. We need to give ourselves a soul hug on that one. So put your hand over your heart, the other one on your solar plexus, your stomach area, and say that out loud with me one more time. I honor the sacred body in which my soul resides. That's so good. I feel pleasure radiating through me. I feel pleasure radiating through me. Thank you for joining me this week. I hope you learned a lot, bridged some gaps, and I do hope that you are feeling the joy and the pleasure radiating from your body. I will see you next week, same time, same channel, for a deep dive into the solar plexus, the place where all the action happens. I love you. Have a beautiful day on purpose. Live and love out loud.